Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشدد به أزري واشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome, dear friends. Inshallah, we will continue with studying the 25th word, which is on the Quran, the miracle of the Quran, on how the verses are so concise and comprehensive yet, right? So last time we looked at a few verses as well in terms of the tree example of how fire comes out of the tree in just one simple phrase, and the author kind of brought in the mentioning of the event of the Moses as well and history, and how he said everything kind of collaborates in terms of the message, where we have to pay attention to the angelic side. We do that for creation, look at the angelic side, but also when we look at this prophetic stories, look at the angelic side of those prophetic stories. Right? So they're very meaningful, not just they're cannot be just read literally, which is unfortunately usually the case in the common reading of the Quran, but they need to be pondered over, and one has to see the angelic side in it, what the meaning behind them by mentioning that such a story is. Right? So we can also communicate with the tree just like Moses did, communicate with the tree in our own capacity, in our own way, because the creation of the tree talks to us as well. So because we are lost in familiarity and we need to wake up to see that each being is declaring, I'm just reading, the qualities of its creator, right? So declaring they come from the Lord, that the qualities come from the Lord of the universe. So we'll start the fourth glow of this conciseness of the Quran. But before I move there, any comment on this? How the looking at the prophetic stories, or looking from the angelic side of the prophetic stories, how that is? All right, if not, we can move on then. So the fourth glow, we did start reading this as well. The Quran's conciseness is so comprehensive and wonderful that when studied carefully, it becomes apparent that sometimes through some simple detail that is mentioned, or particular event, the Quran compassionately shows to simple, ordinary minds most extensive, lengthy, universal rules and general laws, like showing an ocean in an ewer. We shall point out only two examples of this out of thousands. So these verses, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. And when we told the angels prostrate before Adam, they prostrated except Iblis, which is a verse from section 2, Baqarah, verse 34. Another verse, God commands that you sacrifice a cow, from the same section, Baqarah, verse 67. And another verse, and yet after all this, your hearts hardened and became like rocks, or even harder, which is verse 74 of section Baqarah. So this is an example of how compassionately shown in simple phrases, but they have very lengthy and universal meanings behind them. So, first example, these are the three verses expounded in detail in the first station of the 20th word, which describe under the name of the teaching of the names to the person of Adam, the teaching of all the sciences and branches of knowledge with which the sons of Adam have been inspired. Through the angels prostrating before Adam and Satan not prostrating, they state that most beings from fish to angels are subjugated to humankind. So, the meaning of prostration is that every being from fish to angels are subjugated, are serving human beings, subjugated to humankind. Just as harmful creatures from snakes to Satan do not obey man and are hostile to him. Right, so this is the Arabic verse as well. If anybody is curious as to, and remember when we said to the angels prostrate before Adam, so they all did, but not Iblis, who refused and acted arrogantly, becoming unfaithful. So this example, for example, is also like any comment on this example that the author is giving about how, in the terms of conciseness, but it has like deep implications and deep meanings in them. But we need to be careful when we read such verses because this is a common question by people not understand. Like prostration is misunderstood by many, right? All right, we can always come back. So let me continue. And through the people of Moses, peace be upon him, slaughtering a cow, they state that the concept of cow worship, which was taken from the worship of cows in Egypt, and showed its effect in the event of the calf, was slaughtered by Moses' knife, and through water gushing forth from the rock and springs, flowing out and spreading. They also state that the rock layer, which is under the soil layer, acts as the source of both water springs and the soil. So this is the second verse about the Moses. And remember when Moses said to his people, God commands you to sacrifice a cow, they replied, are you mocking us? Moses responded, I seek refuge in God from acting foolishly. And the following verse is here. Even then your hearts became hardened like a rock, or even harder. For some rocks gush rivers, others split, spilling water, while others are humbled in awe of God, and God is never unaware of what you do. I mean, so this he said that these were explained in his another section of the 20th word, all these verses expounded in detail. Of course, these are like examples of verses which are very concise in just mentioning, but they have deep meanings. That's what the principle of the Quran is being displayed here. How in the conciseness there is comprehensiveness. Like with a few words, there's a huge meaning that one can just keep uncovering and discovering. So before I move on to the second example, any comments or thoughts? Any additions? Brother Ali, please go ahead.
Actually, you said it. We have to pay attention that these verses you just quoted here with us, shared with us on the screen, just gives the main message. How, for example, God taught Adam, yeah, human beings, all the names. And the text says, oh, human beings have been given the instruction or tools that God taught Adam all the sciences and branches of knowledge with which the sons of Adam have been inspired. Now, let's remember the story as far as it is told in the Quran is concerned. God said, I'm going to create a caliph on earth. And angels said, but of course, this is the scholars talk about how did the angels know that Adam and his progenies are going to cause corruption in the world and shed blood. There is no need to discuss this because it's very simple. Just when you look at the story, the way it is told, that really God is there, angels are there, and Iblis is really waiting in another corner. I mean, this is not to be imagined like this. God and angels are at the same level existing. Impossible. That is the way the Quran teaches, presents the human reality. These are not explained. Just they said this, and God said, I know what I am doing, and taught Adam. It means uh, gave the quality to human beings to know all the knowledge of branches of knowledge uh, to human beings. It means what are we going to do with the teaching branches of knowledge? Now, looking at the existence of the universe, examining the universe, I am able to discover the qualities, malakut, the angelic side of the creation. So I will know how they are witnessing the qualities of their maker. These are not taught at all, not mentioned in the Quran. And that's it. And the Quran says, we asked Adam, come on, tell them the names of the things there. Of course, we understand in the Quran, names means names of God manifested in creation. So, not this is a apple tree, this is uh, I don't know, cat, and this is a lion. Or no, no, it is ridiculous to think about it. In which language they are? Some of them said they speak in English or in Arabic, maybe in Arabic. These are irrelevant. Quran just gives the core message. And when they realize that this is the teaching of the Quran, the way the Quran teaches, when angels realize that, oh, this creature knows all the names, whereas each angel is representing only one manifestation of name and knows that's why angels are conscious beings. So conscious side, because meaningful side of the universe is conscious. We give the example of a book. So the information is coming to me when I can communicate with the information when I read the book. So I understand, although I don't see the physical thing there, but I know the meaning, and I know that meaning has nothing to do with matter, and I'm communicating with the meaning. Even if when you look at the human being, human face, especially from the face expression, you understand. He is happy, he is in trouble, he is angry, whatever. Now he doesn't know what to do. So you can see, you can read it. That existence, physical existence, transfers a message to me, and we can communicate with it. That is the angelic side of it. So uh, Adam knew the angelic side of it, but all angelic side of the creation, which has many, many manifestations of different names of God. That is why Quran emphasizes God taught Adam the names all. It means all the names of God. Angels, each angel represents one and is conscious of one name. So in this way, God is telling me that, look, you have such a given, you have been given such quality that uh, numberless different manifestations of the name by names you can know, by characteristics, by attributes, you can know. This is what I am taught here. I'm not competing with angels, who is more precious or more important than. No, just the message. You see, there is no other irrelevant subjects are mentioned at all in the Quran. Just human beings know what their quality is, and your quality is much immeasurably more than an angel's qualities. Know how precious creature you are. That's the point. That is the point. But be careful, you may be wasting it. And also through the angel's declaration, you may you may shed blood and cause corruption. It means misuse the qualities, deny the qualities, and kill the manifestations of the qualities for yourself, of course. You cannot kill the reality out there. But for yourself, you can deprive of yourself from the benefit of observing it. All of them are, all these qualities, all these messages are given to us, nothing in detail. Just necessary information is given to me. So we have to appreciate it, and we know how valuable the way is uh, the way the Quran is teaching us only what we need. What we need. Let me see. Is it related to the subject? What about the harmful animals like snakes? Don't snakes also manifest in the... Yes, but who said harmful animals? Muawiyah, I'm sorry, do the snakes are harmful? You yourself uh, has to have to protect yourself from a snake if it is going to bite you. Otherwise, the creation of the snakes are not. And also, snake and Satan is identified together. Now, from the creationist side, so the just harmful creatures from snakes to Satan don't obey men. And now be careful, be careful. So the creation is not that. For example, creation of Satan, creation of snakes or other harmful for us, harmful in uh, creatures. For their creation, we cannot talk about harmful. But for us, if we obey them, if we just let ourselves and be bitten by a snake, it becomes harmful. Otherwise, it has in their creation, snakes are perfect creation. They have their own mission to fulfill. They eat, they feed on a kind of, I don't know, it is not a mouse, but another kind of animals that are, they feed on them, on these animals, so that they keep the balance in the creation. Everything has its own function. So we have to understand that we shouldn't obey Satan, satanic whisperings. That is what we have to do. We have to do it. Otherwise, creation of Satan is not harmful. Of course, some people liken the Satan. It was a snake. Or these are stories. That has nothing to do with the Quran. So, uh, we should read the Quran and prophetic messages only the point mentioned in the Quran and directly related to ourselves. And we shouldn't look for the details because we don't need them. We shouldn't invent the details and make a story out of it. No, it is not a story, it is message. Inshallah, we will uh, create. Sorry, I know I should stop, but this Satan, we think that Satan is harmful and God created a harmful being. No. If I obey and follow them, Satan, it becomes harmful for me. But Satan doesn't come and really, how do you say, deceive me. No, I deceive by denying the truth. This is represented in the Quran following the Satan. Satan represents what? Opposite of angelic side of the creation. Satan represents opposite of the angelic side of the creation. If I don't follow angelic side, I find myself falling into Satan's side. If I deny the truth, I find myself in the opposite side, following the fallacy, wrongs, mistakes. We have to understand this. It doesn't mean that, are you denying Satan? No, I am always with it. So how can I deny? Because whenever I am not aware of the reality, I am with Satan. That is how Quran teaches me. Whether it does have a physical existence or none of my business. Who talks about the physical existence of angels? Such a system, such an organization, uh, such an order of creation is established and I have to be aware of it. There is no need to talk about denying the Satan, accepting the existence of Satan. No, it is in your reality. That's it. That is your reality. That's it. You can either follow truth or reject it. And the Quran emphasizes on it. We turn it into a story. Thank you. But this is even really this one, Moses' knife. What is Moses' knife? The event of calf? We need to talk about it. What Moses took the knife in his hand and slaughtered the cow?
I think that's his message that he brings, right? The knife would represent to slaughter the cow means like not to take any deity worthy of worship besides God, or
What are
any
they?
false idols that we can take. That this is doing this, causing losing ourselves in cause and effect. So this thing is doing that. So just realize that no, there's only one absolute being who's organizing, arranging each and everything in the universe. Right? So
Any means that
and
we, in this world, any means that we think we are benefiting from, rather than Allah's blessings, God's blessing. Calf represents what? In the Quran,
the
means of provision.
means of provision. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were, because of the Nile, Nile made the delta, this Nile Delta or whatever, I don't know how is it called. Uh, when Nile comes and it reaches and runs into Mediterranean Sea, there is delta. This area is so fertile, so precious. So they cultivated it, but with the help of calf. It means ox. They made a calf representing ox, bakara. So Ijil comes from ajila. It means to get something quickly. No, not being impatient and trying to get it immediately. To hurry, to hurry. Mm. So rather than how the things are created, how God is really providing them, and how God employed the creator, employed the Nile, employed the soil, employed the cows for them. Now, for example, if I ask the cow nowadays, what is our cow? Any answer? What is our cow?
And the floor is open if anybody wants to share. Everybody has their own individual cows in their life, basically. What they think is going to be the means of their satisfaction.
Yep. Now, our cow, our profession.
Yep, that could be one. Money could be one. Houses could be one. Cars could be one. Spouses could be one. Children
Yeah.
could be one.
We can turn them into a cow, and Moses' message, we need Moses' message to slaughter it. That's why Quran asks, slaughter the cow. Slaughter. Of course, we understand what does it mean. You can explain us. What does it mean, slaughtering the cow? It's very simple, but just we have to talk about it.
Sure, yes. So slaughtering the cow, basically, let go of that idea, let go of that thought process.
Yeah. So don't give priority to the means that you are using for your bodily satisfaction or provision for your bodily satisfaction. Nowadays, of course, the priority is our profession. But we can use it as a means secondarily, and our main purpose must be to get to know how God is educating me, what is He teaching me, and how I can benefit from His teaching. These are must have the priority in my life. The other is secondary, but unfortunately, our cow is now the first priority. We can sacrifice from everything, not from our cows. We have to be very careful about this subject. So we have to organize our life in such a way that really trying to understand the reality of existence takes the priority in our life. Other worldly affairs, secondary subjects. As much as possible, we should try and aim at it, pray for it physically, inshallah. So again, here, slaughter the cow. That's it. Use the but you have to understand the angelic side of the message. Thank you. I spoke a lot. I'm sorry.
Inshallah. So what was the connection you made about the ajala, the quickness part to this?
Ajil. Quran says ajil.
So in terms of what?
The idol.
Oh, to slaughter it quickly, ajal, in that
Yeah,
sense.
I don't know. Uh,
Okay. Were you saying something else or adding something? So ajal. All right, so let's continue with the second example. This is the whole and the parts of the story of Moses, peace be upon him, which is frequently repeated in the Quran, and each of the repetitions of which is shown as the tip of a universal rule.
mhm.
Each, with each repetition stating the rule in question. Are you saying something, Brother Ali?
No, you are reading it. It's a beautiful sentence, actually. Each of repetitions of which is shown as the tip of the universal rule. Repetition. Now, ijil. If you share 251, it's an interesting word. Calf. Doesn't say bakara here. Although God asked them to slaughter the cow, now what they did, they took the ijil, it means calf, the baby cow, uh, and uh, and became so. ثم اتخذتم العجل من بعده وأنتم ظالمون. And then the scholars explain that ijil comes from the word ajila. It means to hurry, to get the result immediately, immediate pleasure of this word. So we can understand that this ijil, the calf, is our attempt to get the pleasure of this word immediately while we are here, rather than expecting the pleasure from God, so that He will uh, introduce Himself to me and get the pleasure from acknowledging the absolute qualities of my Creator. And also, in the next creation, continuing this understanding, this state of mind, this state of comprehension of the reality of existence, carrying it with my spirit into the hereafter. That is why here, although with difficulties they slaughtered the cow, but they took again the worldly, immediate, imminent pleasure of this world as their object of worship. It means they work for it, to satisfy their worldly life. Ajal.
Very nice. So we should be careful not to.
251 if you want to share.
251 is being
Yeah,
shared. Yes.
yeah,
And remember when we appointed 40 nights for Moses, then you worship the calf in his absence, acting wrongfully.
yeah, this one. Here is the word ajal.
Right. Oops. I cannot highlight it. Al-Ijl
And
min
you can,
ba'dihi wa antum zalimun.
so you can copy maybe, but ajal, your cursor, we follow your cursor. Yep.
Never.
Now, as soon as Moses went to God, it means returned to God and concentrated on his own worship. It means rather than thinking of the society. So he said, okay, I spread the message. Now I'm going to, this is the interesting, everything is so interesting, by the way. So he went to God and came to you. It means he left the society and walked to God. It is ridiculous. It cannot be so. Physically, it cannot be going somewhere physically. No. He gave the priority to his worship of God rather than spreading the message to the people. And when the prophet stopped spreading the message to the people, training the people, educating the people made made something out of a material world in order to satisfy themselves, forget about God. Without the message of the prophet, human beings cannot really be on the right way, on the right side. They deviate immediately. That's what the Quran is saying. There is no need to say 40 days he went there and came back and he found his community. Physical description, nothing to do with it. Quran never describes the physical description. You said at the beginning of today's discussion, how are we going to read the spiritual angelic side of the verses mentioning about prophetic messages? Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
We have to see the angelic side of the message within ourselves by putting myself in the shoe of the figure told here. Now, here is the people who who are the people of Israel, the Moses' ummah. Moses' ummah. When Moses, the prophet, stopped educating the people and concentrated on his own worship, it means when you really ignore the prophet, a prophetic mission for you, prophetic mission, because prophetic mission, for example, Quran is with me and I'm not in contact with him. What happened? Moses went to see God or speak to God, worship to God. Do you see what I mean? From our perspective, we have to read it. We have to know how to read the Quran. That's always, I keep saying that it's very important, very important. Now, Quran says when Moses came to God, left the ummah, his ummah, they were Muslims. They are not a different people. They are you and me. Left ummah. It means when I am away from the Prophet, I have to read it from my perspective. When I ignore the prophetic message, if it is inevitable for me to find a way of satisfying myself in this world immediately, it means for my worldly satisfaction. That is what we should understand from this verse.
So in my disconnection, the prophet walks away. That's what it means.
When I disclose myself
When I disconnect from my reality, my purpose. Yeah.
and fall into worshiping angel.
Satisfaction, worldly satisfaction.
Sorry?
Worldly satisfaction?
Immediate, here. I
Immediate,
want,
yeah.
what is the pleasure I get? To
Immediate
come
benefit.
you see this, how these kind of prophetic messages or stories told in the Quran should be read? For myself. So, for example, some people in other, of course, everybody knows this story in the Quran. They said, yeah, Moses said, God asks you to slaughter a and okay, cow. Okay, bakara, cow. Okay, God asked me to do that. I have to do it. No, they said, oh, look at the story now, how the story is presented to us. They said, which kind of cow it is? It means losing yourself in the thing that you are going to do rather than getting the message. Just, for example, I am going to worship. Well, it means I'm going to pray. Now, what shall I do? And I stand up. And what else? And you have to do it. What else? You have to bow. And what am I going to say in the bow? This one. Losing myself in this, and not really paying attention. What does praying mean? What am I going to feel about it? What is expected of me while I am praying? Now, going into details. What is fard? What is wajib? What is sunnah? What is mubah? Losing yourself there, not talking about how I should have a consciousness in my prayer. And how should I understand what it means for me? How can I really perform it, not physically, while I am worshiping? How can I really get the connection with my source of existence, creator, rather than thinking about it, talking about the details of the cow? That is another lesson for me. So priorities are important. We don't teach, I mean, I'm not accusing people, but mostly we see that they are teaching what is the details of the prayer. Nowadays, the teachers, it is you necessary, but priority is, what does worship mean? Yeah, how can I feel about feel while I'm praying? And how can I understand that uh, this worshipful attitude? How can I connect my feelings, myself, to my Creator? How can I really learn this? Who's going to educate me in this? No, to forget about it. And in detail explanation, you see maybe more than 100 uh, video or either YouTube websites teaching how to pray. How many websites you know? What does worship mean? Studying. Ubudiyah. What does it mean? So these verses must be read from this perspective. And these are just really core message mentioned in the Quran, rather than saying that, look, this Jewish people, Jews, the children of Israel, they didn't really want to worship and looking for an excuse not to. No, it is for me. It is for me to take this message. This message is to me, not to children of Israel only. They may take it, but for the moment, I am reading it. I have to always relate this and never try to understand how the story goes on. Just see from my perspective what God says, what am I expected to do in response to this teaching. Sorry again, I'm just speaking a lot.
Oh, thank you. That was very important, actually. Understand. Inshallah. All right, so we'll continue with the second example, unless anybody has any comment or thoughts or questions or All right. The second example is about the frequently repeated verses or each of the repetitions of which is shown as the tip of a universal rule, with each repetition stating the rule in question. And we have an example such as, O Haman, build me a lofty palace, which is from the Quran, section 40, verse 36. So Pharaoh is commanding his minister, build me a high tower so that I can take a look at the heavens and observe them. I wonder if there is a God who governs in the skies like Moses claims, who can be seen from their disposition. Thus, through the word palace and this minor incident, the Quran states a strange rule, or this verse states a strange rule dominant in the traditions of the Egyptian pharaohs, who, because they lived in the desert with no mountains, wanted mountains, and because they did not recognize the Creator, were worshippers of nature and claimed Godhead. And worshipping fame, through displaying the works of their dominion, perpetuated their name and constructed the famous mountain-like pyramids. Ah, the pyramids. Constructed the famous mountain-like pyramids and agreed to magic and metempsychosis, which I checked looks upon death the transfer of the spirit to another body, and had their corpses mummified and preserved in their mountain-like tombs. So this 4036, let me see if I have it. This is which one? Bakara, this one, 1092, 4036. Here we go. Pharaoh ordered, O Haman, build me a high tower so I may reach the pathways. And here, the explanation from such a small, little phrase, build me a lofty palace. I mean, this is happening even right now about worshiping nature, the things in the universe, thinking, giving qualities to the things themselves, the material scientists, what they proclaim, even the technologists, what they say, worshiping fame. I mean, so in a very precise way, very short phrase, the comprehensiveness brings out the message that one can see. Any comment on this verse or this example? Brother Ali, please go ahead. Thank you.
Can we say that in this demand of the Pharaoh, Yahamanu ni li sarhan, build me a a huge palace. لعلي لعلي أبلغ الأسباب. It means, how can I really reach out to reach the God so that I will compete with him? What does it mean? God, I understood that. Why huge? That's what I understood from this one. I have to have something to compete with God. God created the mountains. I created the pyramids or pyramids. How do you pronounce it? I don't know.
Pyramids. Yeah.
Pyramids. Now, God created the mountains. I created the pyramid. God created death, but I am going to make my body in a mummy so that I wouldn't disappear and I wouldn't be forgotten. Competing with God. So what are we going to understand from it? Now, if rather than expecting the God, the creator of the universe, to create something for me, I will invent a pyramid-like concept. Nature is the creator of everything. Now, I would say it is just a personal speculative understanding, speculation. I would say nature is the palace, this lofty palace of Pharaoh nowadays. So seeing the events are happening by nature, God has nothing to do with it. I can compete. Isn't that the case nowadays? The people are competing with the notion of the creator God and competing the notion of the creator God and replacing it with creator nature. We invent something always in order to compete with God. God did this, I did this. Competing it. That's what I understood from this verse. Now,
So the asbab could be any means, basically, that we say is satisfying us.
competing with God so that I will be the center of my world, not God.
I see. MashaAllah, it's a beautiful way to read the verses. Build me a lofty palace, you said, like the nature or universe nowadays is what.
Otherwise, learning from the Quran, there was a man who was called Haman. Yeah. And Pharaoh asked him to make a huge palace. And just in order to reach Moses' God. It means, they say it is a sarcastic way of challenging the message of the uh, prophets. Then don't they do it nowadays by saying that, look, the Quran advises some ethical values to follow, but we find better ethical values by following our human qualities. It means humanitarian activities. Even they challenge nowadays some people. They say God sometimes creates calamities and we repair it. We help people. God harms them, but we help people. Competes with God. Or, well, competition with God. So instead of believing in God, for example, instead of seeing the manifestations of the names of God in the creation, what they see, these manifestations, they say, shamelessly, they say, these are the inherent qualities of matter. Computing. In order to compete God, create me a means. God kills me and I preserve my body, mummying them, mummified bodies.
Right.
Competition.
I'll preserve myself.
Yeah. Although it cannot stop himself from death, but at least I will, in the example of Ibrahim, Prophet Abraham, Nimrod, they say, that time the representative of deniers there in this story said, I can kill, I can give life. You know this story. Competition. Here is the same still. Here is the same still. Yeah. The same things are going on.
Yep. Thank you. Yes, some obvious comment. Oops, where are the people? Don't we have people nowadays trying to do the same thing by freezing themselves until we cure death? Yep, that's correct. So the competition is the key word, I guess, right?
There is no to talk about. Is there about where this castle is? Is it really built that time? Babylon, is it in the Babylon, or it's interesting name, by the way, Babylon. Babul, Babil in Arabic. Babil means really the door of God. El in Hebrew, God. Bab, Hebrew, like Arabic, they are sister languages. Door of God. When you get here, you will you will reach God here. It's interesting, these names, and people always, you know, make up things in order to not submit themselves to God and instead claim to be or be on their own. So I am as I am, God is as God. So I will take care of myself. God will take care of the universe. Competition. We do that always. I do. I find myself, when I forget about God, I find myself really trying to uh, satisfy myself by myself, not acknowledging through God's gifts.
Indeed, correct. Inshallah. I think we can stop here for today. There are a lot of reflections that are coming, inshallah. So we can digest them, inshallah. So we'll start from the next example, with the next verse, inshallah. I mean, it's a beautiful way to benefit from the teaching of the Quran if we don't make it a story, read it literally, inshallah. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma alamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi Surah al-Fatiha.